criminal investigation into an oil company. I like it. Prosecutor citing a Beaver County, Pennsylvania explosion begins investigating the Mariner East pipeline. A county prosecutor in Pennsylvania is opening a criminal investigation into construction on 3 natural gas liquid pipelines that have drawn blame for causing sinkholes and polluting drinking water and waterways. Tom Hogan, Chester County's district attorney, said Wednesday he's investigating because the governor and state utility regulators haven't ensured the construction was being done safely. Mr. Hogan said the September 10th explosion on a, quote, natural gas pipeline in Beaver County was one of the wake-up calls for his actions. Sunoco Pipeline's Mariner East project stretches for 300 miles across southern Pennsylvania. The Texas-based parent company, Energy Transfer, these are the same fossil fuel fuckers that operated the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Trans-Pecos Pipeline and the Rover Pipeline and a lot of other, and the Bayou Bridge Pipeline, says it's confident it hasn't violated criminal laws and called the allegations baseless. Of course they say that. Mr. Hogan says the company contacted him Wednesday to see if it can discuss the situation. He says he's investigating potential crimes, including environmental violations and corrupt organizations. Oh, I like this prosecutor. I'm going to try to interview him. The projects have weathered several temporary shutdown orders and millions of dollars in fines from state agencies. In a letter explaining the criminal complaint, Mr. Hogan said, quote, the explosion in Beaver County changed speculation into tangible danger and destruction. The explosion was not on a Mariner East pipeline, but on a natural gas pipe built by Energy Transfer and activated just a week before a landslide caused its rupture. In a letter sent to Energy Transfer last week, the district attorney's office asked for the company to produce a slew of documents by January 4th. Among them would be reports and communications about the Beaver County explosion, quote, including any and all documents analyzing the risks and consequences of explosions involving natural gas pipelines. And let me tell you, because I know how these companies work, they don't have any documentation or any pipeline explosion plans. They didn't have it for the Dakota Access Pipeline. They don't have it for the Bayou Bridge Pipeline. They don't have it for the Trans-Pecos Pipeline. They don't have it for the Mountain Valley Pipeline. They don't have it for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. I could go on. Because these companies, they know that the federal government is in their pocket, so they don't have to have an emergency plan. Pipelines spilling, pipelines exploding, they just factor in the fines as a cost of business. So they don't actually do anything responsible. They don't have a comprehensive plan for explosions or leaks. I mean, they'll write something down as a plan, but it's not a real plan. But not very often. Not very often that you'll have an actual a government prosecutor file a criminal investigation against an oil company or a fossil fuel company. This is big news. And all these pipelines, this one's the Mariner East 2 pipeline, but they're all the same. It's usually 1 or 2 companies operating it. They all leak. They all eventually explode. They're destroying the water. They're destroying the air. They're destroying the animals. They're destroying your property value. In many cases, they're destroying the forest because you have to cut down a crap load of trees to get these pipelines in the ground. Jen and I covered a couple months ago the Mountain Valley Pipeline. The destruction there was unreal. Unreal. They were cutting down hundreds of trees in the forest, most of these trees over a century old. Beautiful apple orchards and trees. The prosecutor suing said another motivation for the criminal case, he said, was a Thanksgiving time trip to West Whiteland Township in Chester County, where Mariner East work has been linked to sinkholes and water well contamination. Quote, we understand that only the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission or the governor can shut down construction of these pipelines, and neither has shown any inclination to do so, Mr. Hogan wrote. Yeah, because they're all bought off by the fossil fuel companies. The PUC, Public Utilities Commission, last week filed its own complaint against Sunoco, capping an investigation of an 840-gallon leak of ethane and propane in Berks County in April 2017. The leak came from Mariner East 1, a mostly bare steel 8-inch diameter pipeline installed in 1931 that was used to carry refined petroleum products from the eastern part of the state to the west. The pipeline was repurposed and expanded to carry shale natural gas liquids in 2014. So what's really important about this lawsuit, and again, I'm going to reach out to try and get an interview with this guy. Usually, it's environmental groups suing the pipeline companies. Usually it's the Native American tribes suing the pipeline companies, which are all important in their own right. The environmental groups, the native tribes. But when you have even a county prosecutor, a state-funded prosecutor filing for criminal investigation, that is a big thing because most of the government doesn't want to take on big oil. Not on the national level, not on the state level, not on the local level. And it has to start somewhere. Energy Transfer Partners, they have one of the worst records of oil spills and explosions of any fossil fuel company in the country. Yet, they get permit after permit after permit after permit. And it didn't just start under Trump. This has been going on way before Trump. Remember, Obama said, let's let it play out. Let's let it play out as all the Native Americans and environmental activists got their heads beat in for months in Standing Rock. And I would argue the only reason he denied that permit was because he knew Trump was just going to reverse it. So I'll put on a show and I'll make it look like I'm progressive and denying a toxic oil pipeline going through the longest river in the United States. But it'll just get reversed. I was there. That was one of the most euphoric, amazing days I've ever had in my life, personally or professionally, when he denied that permit. But in the back of my mind, I said, well, he did this when Donald Trump was becoming president. So this is good news. We'll follow this prosecutor. I think he has grounds. The fact that he's investigating three natural gas pipelines that have been causing water well contamination, sinkholes, polluting drinking water is good because a county prosecutor then on discovery, he will get their documents and get those companies' documents on what is their spill response plan, what is their spill plan, what was the discussions during construction. We need to find out what these fossil fuel companies are doing and most of the case not doing to protect us because they don't give a damn about you, Pennsylvania, and they don't give a damn about anywhere else. These are sociopaths.